Hi, I've been thinking about a conversation I had recently uh, about contentment, and it's it's noticeable that many people are not content, and this is one of the reasons why we're always buying stuff, moving furniture, changing things around, being unhappy with the way things are, which is, it's a common human condition, and I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but lack of contentment actually does lead us to indulge in human behavior that definitely can be construed as being negative in its results. I mean, continued consumerism and the feeling that everything's got to grow and get bigger and more powerful and all the time. This is basically because people are not content. And so, why is this? What does being content mean? People often think that they're not content with the way things are, but they will be content when things are perfect. And they keep striving on their whole lives for this perfection, which will allow them to be content. Well, the fact is, if you're always striving for something that doesn't exist at the moment, what is this perfection they're striving for? It's a concept. It's a thought form. Once again, it's the mind controlling who we are and controlling our actions and tricking us into indulging in behavior that is competitive and disturbing to our being. We can't be if we're discontented, because if we're discontented, we are by definition not happy with how things are now. We're not happy with being in the now. And we think we will be happy when things are perfect, but of course that's hypothetical, and once again, it's not in the now, it's in the future. So, how do we achieve contentment? Well, it's another factor of this split level consciousness that I myself experience, and I'm assuming other people experience it also. And this split level consciousness is, as I have mentioned before, it's the personality, the day-to-day person who we think we are and how other people think we are, and the spiritual self that is the real person, that is really who we are. And so if you have this split level consciousness, if you're aware of this split level consciousness, which is something that I fortunately have been aware of for a large part of my life, it allows you to be discontented and content at the same time. And I think that is actually a more accurate description of the human condition. My personality is not content with things all the time. In fact, fundamentally, I am not very contented with human condition, with the human behavior on this planet. I see, the madness of war, which is extraordinary, insane madness, crazy stuff, which some of the most powerful and respected people on this planet perpetuate continuously. The madness of war, the madness of war on the planet, gargantuan and ever-accelerating amounts of environmental damage. We're out of balance. There's a lot of things to be discontented about. And that's the way things are on the personality level. But the spiritual self, who I am really, and who I fortunately am aware of, the spiritual self is content. This might seem like a paradox, and in some respects it is. But you see, how it is for me is that on the personality level, on the everyday level, on, if you like, the human level, things are not perfect by a long way. There's a great deal of changes that need to be made, and there's a great deal of changes that are being made. In fact, change is the one constant. But these changes on a spiritual level, these changes and this imbalance, and indeed the suffering and destruction that accompanies incorrect behavior, is all unfolding the way it should. On a spiritual level, there are these incredible changes happening to this planet, and it's not unique to these times. It's been an ongoing process ever since the beginning of creation. It seems to be accelerated at the moment. There seems to be we seem to be at a crisis point, which is a point where things come to a head and a great many changes happen, in maybe a new spiritual order, an initiation, a planetary initiation, a solar initiation is undergoing at the moment from a spiritual point of view, and this and the disruption and reasons for discontentment on the human level are actually the working out at the gross physical level of these spiritual changes. So although on the physical level, on the physical plane, there is much disruption and many things to be discontented about, on the spiritual level, everything is unfolding the way it should. And so that gives you a reason for spiritual contentment. And indeed, if you have even a fairly rudimentary spiritual awareness, this is the strength, this is the profound feeling of peace that goes along with spiritual awareness, that allows you to be. We are, after all, human beings, and it is our right, and maybe it is our purpose, to be. But we can only be if we are focused on the spiritual level. And then with the calmness and, if you like, the contentment that arises from knowing in your heart that everything is unfolding where it should, then you have something to offer those who are desperate, those who are despairing, those who are depressed, those who are suffering. Then you have this inner strength, which is the strength, cosmic strength, that channels through you and becomes accessible to those who maybe do not have a very pronounced spiritual awareness. And this is really the great joy of spiritual enlightenment, is it allows you to bring a light into the lives of others, into people who maybe don't think there's not much light in their lives, and it is such a joy to be able to help people feel good about themselves and to help them understand that a lot of the pain, a lot of the suffering, a lot of the disruption that is going on at the moment is the working out of fantastic spiritual changes on a higher level than is working out on the physical plane. And that if we have the right approach, if we let the energy flow freely, if we don't fight the changes, if we don't fight each other, if we don't use force, force begets force, if we show understanding and compassion towards each other and towards the situation, and stop being discontented. Discontentment is the result of wanting things to be different. And that's a recipe for disaster. You could spend your whole life thinking the grass is greener on the other side, and you never get to the other side. So just be content to be who you are, where you are, be in the now, and understand that although on the physical level, on the physical plane, there's huge room for improvement, be aware that on the spiritual level, the energy to make these changes is manifest, and we can tune into that energy, and then we can see that everything is unfolding the way it has to. It cannot be any other way than the way it is. And once you know this in your heart, you know it. You won't get there by thinking. You have to know it. It's a realization. You have to make real spiritual enlightenment and bring light to the shadows here on earth. And I'll leave it at that. So be content to be discontented. It's a split level. You can be discontented on the lower level and contented on the higher level. And if you're contented on the higher level, then you won't be upset by being discontented on the lower level. I really can't put it any more simply than that. So anyway, bless you all, and I'll talk to you again soon, I hope. One love. Thank you.